So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube? Dan here from ZWGames Games, bringing you an updated Magical Musket deck profile. And now we've got this beautiful guy, Magical Musketeer Max, Triple M. And he is so good. He definitely adds a huge amount to the deck. It doesn't take it to like absolute meta dominance, but it does mean it has a very strong second turn play. So without further ado, I'm going to take you through the profile, show you what we've got, and then towards the end I'll just exactly show you what Magical Musket Max can do, because he is so good. So of course we play triple Magical Musketeer Caspar, the most important main deck monster of the deck. It is a shame that none of these cards got reprinted, so it makes this deck a lot harder to build and find the cards that you need, but it's still an incredibly good and fun deck to play around with. Triple Starfire, just for your Ties of the Brethren play. Double Kid Brave, again, you just want to make sure that if you open up this one, your Ties of the Brethren aren't dead. And the exact same thing for Doc as well. All of them have the same effects, that you can use musket spells and traps from your hand. And then if a spell trap is activated in the same column as this card, they get an additional effect. Doc adds back from the graveyard. Kid Brave discards a card to draw to. Starfire special summons one from your Magical Musket from the deck. And Caspar searches any Magical Musket card. We then play the one Calamity and the one Wild. Again, for your Ties of the Brethren off of Starfire, Calamity revives from the graveyard, and Wild targets 3 Magical Musket cards into the graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then you get to draw 1. So it's basically your main deck, Daigusto Emerald. Lastly, as well, for the Magical Muskets, we do play the one YUGIOH, purely because you can actually special summon him nice and easy off of Max right now. And it just gives you an additional boss monster to kind of play, and if you're during your opponent's turn you play a lot of spells and he stays on the board, during your opponent's end phase you can draw cards equal to the number of Magical Musket spell and traps you activated this turn while this card was face up on the field. So it's still very good. It gets you a bit of recurrence and lets you add back some of the cards that you've used, and allows you to play out for the longer game as well. And then we play 2 Ash Blossoms. These can be any hand traps of your choosing. Or of course you can bump up the Cool Blooded Grave and the Impermanence, which we only played at 2 each at the moment. Moving on to the spells, we've got triple Ties of the Brethren. Very important on this one as well. You need to make sure that this, that you've tried to get your opponent to ash you before you use Ties, because then Ties then allows you to play 3 Magical Musket cards. It will get you off of your Caspar, your Doc, and your Kid Brave, and off your Starfire, it will get you the Wild. It'll get you your Wild and the, what's her name? Calamity. Brain dead. So yeah, that will get you a nice little board extender. Not to mention, if you wanted to, on the next turn you turn it into Musketeer Max and it just goes further from there. If that does not rely on its extra deck and you do need to draw, so we do go with triple Pot of Extravagance. Now obviously the worst case scenario is you lose all 3 of your Max, but if not, you've got a lot of place to still go through, and drawing the extra 2 cards can either give you the monster you need or the spell or trap that you need as well. I have reverted back to the Toon Table of Contents kind of like engine. So triple Toon Tables and a 1 Toon World. Technically you don't need to play Toon World, but it just gives you, technically it gives you 4 spells that you can activate, which means if you've used Ties of the Brethren, you can still activate these during your turn. Now I haven't fully tested with these back in the deck right now. I can't remember, I was playing, I think I was playing a lot of Go Second cards, so I'd actually built a deck designed to go second, so I was playing like Twin Twisters, I was playing Kaijus, I was playing Interactive Slumber, stuff like that. And then, so that does give you another option, and I think Twin Twisters might be a better option to come back into the deck. So these 4 cards is something that I'm looking at as to whether I want to go with this kind of engine, so it means I've got more turns going, more plays going first, or whether I really want to build the deck going second to break my opponent's board, make the Magical Musketeer Max, and then just restock my hand or field. Moving on to the Musket spells, we've got double Cross Domination. This is just to purely quick play negate one of my opponent's card effects, alongside double Steady Hands. Now these are of course hard once per turns, so which is why we're only playing most of these at 2-ofs. You can even drop some of these down to 1-ofs. And what you've got to remember is with these cards, so Cross Domination puts a monster's attack down to 0 and negates its effects. Steady Hand doubles a Magical Musket's attack. So you can actually use these during the damage calculation, during the damage step. The one thing you've got to remember is your Magical Musket cards do not go off in the damage step in the TCG, unfortunately. And they probably should say, they should be allowed to do so. Like, it should say even in the damage step, because it makes these cards a little bit more useful. However, if you want to recur, if not, you just drop these during the damage step and it causes opponents a lot of issues. But ideally you want to be using this going aggressive to get over opponents' beast monsters, big beat monsters, because you don't actually have a lot in the deck. And then you want to be using this to just negate your opponent's monster effects. Double Call by the Grave, because obviously we want to make sure that our Ties of the Brethren are going off. And then you want to protect some of your searches of a Caspar and Starfire as well. And then we've got the one Upstart Goblin, because it's an additional draw and it's a spell that can be activated in a column. You can take the Upstart out purely because it does clash with the Pot of Extravagance, but it does give you an alternative draw card as well, and turns the deck down a card, basically. For the traps, we've got Triple Desperado. Now, this again could arguably be put down to 2. I just think it is the best strategy. You just get to pop one of your opponent's monsters, target one of your opponent's monsters and destroy it. So if it didn't target, it would be a definite 3 of, because it's even better. But because it targets and it is a hard once per turn, you might want to consider dropping it down to 2. It does then again give you more options to play around with in the deck. Double Last Stand, again, very, very powerful card, but the issue with it is it's only when your opponent activates a spell or trap card. So you have to be very, very particular. It can't stop a monster effect and it cannot stop a spell effect. But it is a counter trap, so it does mean that you can stop Crescendo, you can stop Rage as well. But then for this meta right now, we've got one Dancing Needle. So you target 3 monsters, up to 3 cards in the graveyard and banish them. So it's very, very good against Salamangreat and Orcus, because you're just going to target 3, activate the trap during your column, get an additional plus off of that, and you're going to banish the 3 in the graveyard to cause your opponent even more issues. And then we've got Double Impermanence. Now obviously this one is more for going second, but the idea is you go second, you put this behind your Musket monsters, and then you're going to activate them during the column. Not only will you get a search off of that, but you're also going to negate anything that happens in your opponent's column, and of course negate one of your opponent's monster effects. So it's actually very, very good and useful in this deck. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, we've got Triple Magical Musketeer Max. Now this card is insane. The fact it points down is just an additional plus as well, but then you're going to use it mainly for its effect. The issue is it's when it is link summoned. So it requires a 1 level 8 or lower magical musket monster, so it is not generic, which is very, very good. It means it's not going to get abused everywhere. You get to add a magical musket spell or trap with different names from your deck to your hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or you can special summon magical musket monsters with different names from your deck up to the number of spell or traps your opponent controls. You can only use each effect once per turn. During either player's turn, you can activate magical musket spell and trap cards from your hand. So the idea is you use Caspar, you search, you bring this guy out. This guy then either floods your board or floods your hand, depending on what you need most and depending on what your opponent has. It's a very, very good going second recurrence. It's a shame that it has to be down to what your opponent has, because it does mean that you can technically not... It's not good going first unless they're going to Phantasma you. And then if they Phantasma you, I don't know why they would, because it would technically, even though they get to bring a Phantasma out on board, they do neg themselves, because Musketeer Max will then have the ability to get an effect off. But that's also said for you as the turn player, is I don't know why you would want to make this going first. You'd probably, it's got less attack than a Caspar, so even if you normal summon your Caspar and then you're stuck with that on board, you still have the ability to activate your magical musket spells and traps. And at least with Caspar, if you do use the magical musket spell or trap, you get an additional search as well. Next up, we've got Triple Hop Hossingen. This is after you've used your max, you can use this and one of the weaker magical muskets to make hip Hossingen. That way you just boost all of your monsters by an extra 500, and it gives you more over your max, because max is only 1,000, whereas this thing takes up to 19 and then takes all your monsters up by an extra 500 as well, because they are all light fiends. Then of course we've got the Nightmare package of 1 Cerberus. I've got double Phoenix because it's out of all the cards. I was like, I don't want to, if I do banish off of Extravagance, I actually want more of a chance of keeping a Phoenix than anything else. The 1 Unicorn, the 1 Decode, and the 1 Trisbania, purely because you can special summon stuff to this zone quite easily, so being able to nuke your opponent's back row is quite good. Doesn't have to be this. Like I said, you do not rely on the extra deck whatsoever. So you, apart from the max, you can put whatever you like in this extra deck. We've then got the one Borrow Load and Borrow Sword, just because I want a finisher. If you've activated Max's effect, you could technically flood the board with all 6 zones used up. And sometimes, like I said, the magical muskets are a little bit weak, so you can either go into hit Hossingen to boost them all, or you just go into Sword, using 4 of them, leaving you with 1 to 2 monsters left on board, and then Sword can just go in for game. And then finishing off, we're playing the new number 26 Spaceway Octopus, Octobipus, no, I don't know, Octobypass, there we go, I'll get it eventually, jeez, brain is not working early in the morning. So this is 2 level 3 monsters. At the start of the battle phase, you can detach 1 material from this card. During the battle phase, the player can only attack with 1 monster, and its attacks become a direct attack. You can only use the effect of number 26 once per turn. At the end of the damage step, if a monster inflicted battle damage to by a direct attack, give control of that monster to the turn player. That attack to the turn player's opponent. So the idea is, this is a defensive play that you bring off of your Caspar, your Kid Brave, anything like that, if you've not got any spells and traps in your hand. And then hopefully if this is left during the battle phase, it kind of protects you a little bit. It's just a little tech that I'm trialing out. Do not have to play this. It can easily be a Breaksword or any other card that you wish. Anyway, that is it for the deck profile. Again, straightforward and simple. It is not an absolute meta dominant deck. It is just incredibly fun to play around with. It gives you a couple of options as well. Especially with Magical Musketeer Max, it definitely gives it a nice little boost, and it gives you a lot of nice power plays to go around with as well. Anyway, that is it for the video. I hope you liked it. I hope it gave you an idea of your own Magical Musket build. There are still a couple of questions that I have around the deck and stuff, a couple of things that I would like to look into changing. But for now, it is still very, very powerful, very, very fun, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. What's up, YouTube? Dad here from Zephyr Games. Thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, please hit that big thumbs up button in the bottom corner as well. And don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. Make sure you click that notification bell as well so you know every time one of our new videos goes up. Throughout the whole year of 2019, we're going to have more deck profiles, duels, and of course pack openings for you guys to watch and enjoy the entire year round. So stay tuned for more, and as always guys, happy dueling.